So today we're going to talk about my AMD-65. Make sure this is unloaded, that's on safe. So obviously this gun is pretty bubbad because it's not how this gun would come from, oh, what is it, Hungary? Yeah, it's a Hungarian like tanker model. It's got a folding wire stock. This is all original. It's made to where it will fire folded. So, you know, if you want to Draco some people like Steve DeClue, you can do that. Not everyone's going to get that joke. Maybe like 6 people who watch my video will. But I've done a lot of stuff to it that I like. There are still a couple things that I want to do. This is probably by far like my favorite rifle that I own. I put almost 2,000 rounds through it. The things that I've changed, obviously it does not have the stock handguard on it. But I mean, I still have it if I ever want to put it back on. It's just the problem is with this gun is when you shoot it, you have to be wearing gloves because it gets really hot. Especially so if you have the stock handguard. Because it's basically a fucking grill for your hand. Because it's just a piece of sheet metal and it's got a factory AK handguard, or hand grip, sorry, reversed. So it's reversed and you grab onto it basically like this. And you can't touch this at all or it'll burn the shit out of your hand. But I've changed it and I put this Troy handguard on it. I kind of had to modify the handguard a bit for it to work. But it actually works out pretty well. The only thing that kind of sucks, I mean, I think it looks kind of cool, but I might eventually change this to standard AK upper handguard. But I have another gas tube that I need to modify to do that. But because, you know, I can't tactical C-grip with the way that it is now. It's take my thumb, throw it up like this, and, you know, then I don't burn the shit out of my hand. Plus, I'm wearing gloves anyway when I'm doing this. And I mean, I could put a Magpul hand grip on it. I keep saying hand grip on it. Just like the Magpul stuff, a little bit nicer than, you know, a plastic handguard for an AK. Put a Midwest Industries, or sorry, not Midwest Industries. I've put a Texas Weapon Systems Dogleg Gen 3 on it. I mean, it's held 0 so far. You can pop it open. That's the whole allure to this dust cover, is you can put an optic or a red dot on it, in my case, on top, and you can open it, take the gun apart for cleaning, put it back together, close it, and it still holds 0. So far, through the amount of rounds that I've put on it, I mean, it's held 0. I haven't had an issue. I mean, obviously, I'm going to a range where I have like 100 yards, but at 100 yards with a red dot, I mean, it's pretty much 0. I can't really tell you my MOA because I didn't measure it because I was just out shooting and I'm like, well, I'm hitting the target pretty much dead center, so that's all I need to know. Magpul angled foregrip. And then I put this goofy flashlight on the front of it because I got it for free. And I mean, I had the mount, but I'll eventually change this out. My buddy Greg Canoyer has an owl light on his AR-15. And I want to put that, either that or like a Surefire light on this mount here. And I could probably put the activator somewhere within here, so when I reach up and push, it's on when I'm up. It's got a pretty standard trigger in it. I mean, it's a Tapco trigger from whatever build kit this was, or if it just came straight up from, I mean, it's an FEG AMD-65, and as far as I know, they all came with Tapco triggers. And I mean, it's a decent trigger. I mean, there's not really, like, as far as like trigger options for AKs, there's not really a whole lot. I mean, it's a decent trigger, you know. You gotta, oh, ignore me. But I mean, there's really nothing there. Like, I mean, I've probably broken the trigger in pretty well, but you know, I just start pulling a little bit. There's a little bit of movement there, wall, and then it's done. And I mean, I could shoot it fast if I really want, and it cycles great. I mean, I just use steel case through it so far because, well, it's an AK. It doesn't really fucking matter. It just throws the shit out and loads a new one, and you're ready to shoot again. The only time I don't use steel case is when I took this out in my deer stand with me. I have some brass ammo that's jacketed hollow point because, you know, I mean, don't want to shoot something and the bullet just goes straight through. Overall, AK experience, it's honestly like my favorite firearm that I've owned. I'm going to build another AR-15, but this is always going to be pretty much near and dear to my heart. Muzzle brake on it. The muzzle brake is... anyone around you is going to hate you because this thing throws out huge fireballs and a lot of blast out the sides. So the AMD-65 comes with this type of muzzle brake on it, and I mean, it's just the one that's there. I'll probably eventually replace it with something because I want to get a suppressor soon. So I'll need to take this off, put an adapter on, and then I can have whatever QD mount that I want for a suppressor. But it's, you know, got the lock on there. It looks like it's pin and welded, so, but it doesn't really look like it's pin and welded all that well, so it might be pretty easy to get off. But I'll probably end up taking it to a gunsmith just to have him take it off so I can replace it. The wire stock is not the most comfortable thing in the world. I mean, it's got a little rubber on the end here, but it's not really soft. It's pretty stiff. And I mean, if I go out and shoot a bunch, I'll have a bit of a bruise on in my pocket right here. I mean, nothing that's like, I feel like I'm gonna die anyway. But the problem is with the wire stock too, is without this rail here, more or less, this cheek riser from AMD-65 tech, you don't really have anywhere to like put your face. So imagine that this isn't here. You have to pretty much, your head just floats there. And you have to, you know, keep yourself there. Where with the cheek riser now, I can shoot and I can just keep everything right here and, you know, move with the gun from where, you know, where I'm shooting next, and, you know, recoil and all that. Because obviously if you don't have your cheek riser, it's pretty much like the gun just kind of flies and moves around without your face even having any bearing on where it's going to go. That's kind of one issue that I had with this, and I looked into replacing it, but the way that my gun is put together, so on some of them there's a hole right here that has the pin for this folding stock, so pretty much you can hammer it out, but mine I'd have to essentially drill a hole to get that pin out, and I just would rather not do that to this firearm. And I know the only other real issue that I've had with it is when I'm shooting it, like if I'm just, you know, oh, let's have fun and just do a mag dump. Sometimes when I'm shooting, my thumb will come up and it hits that button. So it pulls up and hits the button and it'll start to fold while you're firing it. But I mean, I've adjusted this screw for it and I haven't really had as much of an issue since, but when I first got it, I would have that issue where my hand would come up and push that. And because, you know, you're getting recoil impulse into your shoulder, it just ends up folding back like that. And I mean, that's not all that great. And that's something you would probably want to adjust this screw for, because you really don't want to just be shooting off rounds and then all of a sudden you're going like this to people beside you. Because that's not too healthy for anyone. As far as optic I have on here, I got a Vortex Strike Fire 2. I mean, I don't really have any complaints with it. Obviously, it's not like a super expensive optic. It's not like, you know, a Trijicon SRO or RMR or something with... That's something with this mount, and because it's an AK, you want a very low rise optic. And that's why I have this mount for the Strike-Fire 2 and not the one that it normally comes with. The one that it normally comes with, it's for AR, so it's, you know, it's way up here. And the problem is with the AK, your face is down here and you'd have to adjust and pretty much put your head up here, and that's kind of uncomfortable to shoot with an AK. You know, you want to keep everything nice and low inside, and you'll get tighter groups if you're shooting quicker. I don't really have a complaint with this optic. I'll probably just keep this red dot on here. I mean, I like Vortex. I like their stuff because they all have lifetime warranties. Like, and it's no questions asked. So I can go outside and spike this red dot on the ground and just be like, "Hey, my optic's broken," and they'll send you a new one. I'm not sure as far as how warranty goes because I've never had to do that. I don't know if you have to pay shipping or whatever, but I mean, I like their stuff. I have a 1 to 4 times scope on my AR-10 that was in my last video, and I like that scope, but I'm probably going to get a different optic for the AR-10. And I mean, so far this firearm's been really reliable. I like it. It's honestly my favorite thing that I've had to shoot. I mean, obviously really the only thing with it is it gets really dirty really fast because I use steel case ammo on it, but it's cheap. And I mean, when I go to the range, it's not like I, you know, necessarily need an expensive bullet on the range. I mean, some people will probably argue with me that I need to use the ammo to train with that I'm going to be in an engagement with. I don't fucking care, dude. I just go out to shoot for fun. I mean, I'll probably end up using expensive ammo on like my AR-15, like if I train with that. The only thing I wish about this gun was a little bit different is maybe that my barrel was shorter, like to here, because there are some where, as this one's a rifle, but there's some that have the barrel that stops about right here, and then you have muzzle brake. That would be a little bit nice because with this configuration, it almost fits in my backpack that I have, but it fits in such a way where essentially this portion up of my barrel is sticking out of my backpack, which is not ideal considering you would probably want to close up your whole backpack. All my mags I have for it are just these steel magazines. They work fine. I mean, you could throw them on the ground, throw them into rocks and shit, and they'll be fine. They'll take abuse if you want to abuse your firearm. I know most people don't. Most people buy a gun, they shoot 100 rounds out of it, and then it sits in the safe forever. But I like going out and shooting, so mine definitely doesn't do that. Not loaded. One thing I've noticed about my AMD-65, no idea if anyone else's does this or why mine does this. So if I put my charging handle back and it's like that, I mean, it doesn't necessarily affect anything and nothing's really holding it, because if I just go like that, it closes. And I've never seen any other AK do that, but mine for some reason has a bolt hold open, but it only works when I pull it back and set it there. Like if I'm shooting, it's like last round of the mag. Obviously it's not going to do that because it's an AK, but I mean, it literally just sits right here and then I just bump it and it goes. Reloading is pretty easy with AKs. I mean, obviously you shoot, you pop your mag out, pop new mag in, and then you can just reach up and it's loaded. Or you can, you know, do the over technique. The not proper method of loading is, you know, you put mag in and you take your hand off your firing hand and go like that. I mean, you can do it, it works, whatever. But as far as manual of arms, I don't think it's necessarily correct, because you always want to be in an engagement ready to shoot. So you know you load, and then just like that, it's loaded. So for purposes, this mag is loaded. That's in, and then I'm ready to shoot. That's another thing too about an AK is, I guess you could say they're more dangerous than ARs because of the way that it loads. Well, I'll never fucking do that again. And because you have to have the safety off to load it, and any charging handle manipulation, you have to have the safety off, because obviously when with an AK, okay, this may not be obvious, but for people who don't know AKs, when your safety is up, your charging handle will not actuate and your trigger will do nothing. Whereas if your safety is off, your charging handle can come all the way back and you can fire the firearm. And then reset. I mean, overall they're great guns. AKs are skyrocketing in price. Wouldn't necessarily be bad to have one in your safe if you're that type of person where you just kind of want one in your safe. And I mean, 7.62 ammo is really cheap. And I mean, overall it's just fun. It throws out fireballs. It's cool. I mean, if you're one of those people you want everyone to kind of look at you at the range with your big old fireball machine, buy one of these. I mean, I bought mine for a steal. I doubt you'll find another one like in this condition for the price anyway. But I mean, I know they go for like 900 plus. And for an AK now, for a good AK, that's a really decent price for one. I mean, I can't say anything on it because I mean, I got a really good deal on mine. But go out and find one and buy one. Doesn't necessarily have to be an AMD-65. I would say buy an AK that is necessarily not American made. Buy one that's military surplus from a country, or that was from another country, Romania, Hungary, Russia, if you can find an AKM, or an AKM variant that obviously doesn't have a full auto fire control group unless you're, big baller. But overall, I'd recommend it. I mean, they're fun. They're great to shoot. They really don't recoil as bad as what people think they do compared to, like an AR-15. Obviously, it'll recoil a little bit more, but once you get used to it, it's really not bad. And they're easy to shoot. And they're just easy to maintain, cheap to shoot, fun to shoot. I really don't know what else I need to do to convince you that this is a great firearm. And I mean, I'd like to thank Raid Shadow Legends. Just kidding. No one sponsored this video. I currently don't have sponsors. Everything you see in the video is, bought and paid for by me. I bought all this. I've filmed all of it. I don't have anyone helping me. It's just me. Eventually, maybe the sponsor part will change. I hope it does. I mean, I'd like to do more reviews. It's fun to do. I know it's been a few months since I've put out a video, but the last time I did it, it was just before winter. And now it started getting warm out again, and I wanted to go record, and now it's all the coronavirus shit, and you can't really go out and do much. In Missouri, I pretty much have free reign to do whatever I want. I just haven't been out to a state park. The state park that I go to that has a firing range to shoot, because I just don't know if they're open or when they're open. I'm sure they are by now, considering it's late May and things have kind of opened up. They say they've opened up here in Missouri. So if I can, I'm going to go out soon and get more range footage of my other firearms that I would like to make videos on. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching. If you'd like and subscribe, it would really help me out. And if you want to, share the video. and I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you.